evening, everyone. Thank you very much for making it, despite your busy schedules, to be with us today. And I'm going to thank you on behalf of the 7.6 million children and their families, and also everyone who's in some way associated with eVidyaloka. Few years ago, I was mentioning this as on behalf of 30,000, 40,000 families. Today, it's grown to 7.6 million families. And I think that just could not have happened without it being equivalent of a social movement. And that's all thanks to some of our really large-hearted donors, our volunteers. We have 61,000 of them, and each one making a huge difference to lives of children. And not just our volunteers, but also all our employees who've been with us, our partners who are there in different villages. Today we are in over 600 villages. And I'm sure that the time will come, and with Amrit Kal happening, and everything, as Mr. Amitabh Kant said, being squeezed, the transformation being squeezed into trying to get it done within a generation, will put that pressure on all of us to run at a speed which we have never done before. And that calls for a completely different way of looking at things and executing them as well. And it will be all about execution excellence. To me, when I look at this massive transformation, I'm going to look at it from few dimensions. There are multiple dimensions, and one cannot fathom all of them, but I'm going to look at it from the child parent, the teachers, and the principal when it comes to the school. What is needed at the principal level is leadership. And I think that is going to be the game changer if we really have to create the skill sets. And as my fellow board member Ram normally says this, you either have this demographic dividend or it'll become a demographic disaster. So if you really need that, you need leadership at that ground level, at that village level, and in those village schools. And I think it is time for all of us to look at investing in that principal who actually provides that leadership there in that local village level. From a teacher perspective, if you look at it, there is a huge need for content. There is a huge need for context. And there is a massive need for pedagogy as well. As the country rewrites his history, writes back what actually was its history, and tries to bring back the truth into our narratives as we go in a different direction altogether, and also feeling proud that we are Indians. I think that needs a completely different context when there is a teacher who's going to be talking to our children, our future actually. And therefore, that piece needs to be addressed. Finally, our children. And I look at children from a few angles. And the basic angle I look at children will be wellness. Wellness, whether it is physical or mental or emotional or spiritual. And finally, I would say academic wellness for our children and financial wellness for their parents. I think this wellness has to be addressed in a 5-pronged or 6-pronged approach to be able to make that sustained effort and actually bring that sustained transformation in such a short period of time. And we also need to remember that most of our children are actually first-generation schoolgoers. So they have this huge disadvantage of when they get back home, there is no one to lean on to help them and substantiate that. And that's where eVidyaloka is playing a massive role, not only by entering the school through the digital classroom program or, with our applications, but also the Teach Through Television program. The Teach Through Television program is something that I think will be one of the best programs that will supplement the learning that the child has in the classroom. And I think that supplementing is a must. And this will go a long way in helping children and reach out to children where we have not even fathomed that we could ever reach. So I'm only going to look at these three constituents and then talk to you on certain enablers. The enablers are already there. We are all sitting here. It's a social movement. It cannot happen without all of us coming together. This country needs, if you look at our scale today, if I look at our scale at eVidyaloka today and what's the need of the country, this country needs 32,000 eVidyalokas to solve the education equation. And that's not an easy task. That can only happen if all of us come together and at scale. This hasn't been attempted anywhere else in the world. And we can all be proud today that we are all here making this attempt, an honest attempt. And we've been doing this for the last 12 years at eVidyaloka. And the second one that I would say as an enabler, apart from it being a social movement, will be this monomaniacal focus on delivering learning experience which is far superior than what we have today to our children. And if we don't get that focus in, this whole thing can go haywire. So that focus is needed for transformation. I'll also think that discipline in execution and resilience, because there will be setbacks as we scale, as we grow larger and larger. There are going to be setbacks. There are going to be things that we never even fathomed. There are things which we haven't fathomed because there is nowhere to lean back on. We are one of the first ones. We are the pioneers, actually. So given this is going to be something new. The journey will be something new. We will chart a new path. And that path can veer off here and there at few times. We should be capable of handling that with all resilience. And then finally, and most importantly, and I'll get hammered by my board members if I don't mention technology, especially Venkat. So access, equity, I think that is absolutely essential in a country which is so spread out and so difficult to reach out to. And I think technology is an amazing leveler for that. And that's where we've been able to leverage technology significantly to reach out to so many children who need this. But who's been the beneficiary of all this? We look at it as children, we look at it as whatever, the economy going to, get benefited by this. But it's honestly each one of us sitting here. God has given us this opportunity to be on this journey together. There is only once you will get this opportunity, and each one of us has seized it in different ways. This opportunity is making each one of us a better human being than what we were yesterday. And I think, therefore, the actual beneficiary is each one of us in this room. I once again thank all of you for taking time out of your schedules to be with us. And I'm sure that together we will take India through the Amrit Kal in a completely different way and actually push through the transformation at a speed that has never been seen before. Thank you very much.